Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we specify constructors with private access modifier? The answer is yes. While creating a constructor in Java programs, before the constructors, we can specify the private access modifier without any problem. Java will not give you any error or compiler error on providing this private access modifier before the constructor. Okay, so no error will come. But what will happen when you specify this private access modifier for a constructor in Java programs? What will happen? So this is what is going to happen, guys. So let's say there is a class. Inside the class, you created a constructor, and the constructor is now specified with a private access modifier. Now, the constructor inside this class will only be called when you create an object for the class, right? In the object creation statement itself, the constructor calling statement will be there, and that's how the constructor will be generally called. But this object creation need to be done within the class only. Why? Because the constructor is private. Okay, when the constructor is private, you cannot create an object for this class in which the constructor is there. Outside the class, you cannot do so. Okay, the constructor need to be called within the class. So you have to create the object, okay, for the class within the class itself, so that constructor calling statement also will be there within the class, and that's how the private access modifier specified constructor can be called. So hope you got the point. Let me practically demonstrate this for you so that you will be able to understand what I have explained just now in a better way. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse ID. I'll close all the stuff. I'll close all the things and just freshly create a new class and all those stuff. Okay, just give it some time. It will go. So last one. Yeah. Now freshly, I'll go to one package and create some class. Okay. Constructor demo class. Okay. Some constructor demo or CD I'll give. Okay, the name of the class I'm just giving at CD or C demo class. Okay, click on finish. The C demo class has been created, and in this class I'm going to create a constructor. Okay, I'm going to create a constructor. How to create a constructor without worrying about that private access modifier? First, I'll casually create a constructor with public access modifier. And constructor, you already know, will not have any return type, so no return type, void or nothing should not be provided. After that, the name of the constructor should match with the name of the class, like this. This is a constructor. I created a constructor here. I'll simply write a sample print statement inside constructor. I'll say simple. Okay. Now I'll change this public access modifier before this constructor with private access modifier. There won't be any problem, guys. You are not going to get any compiler error. Okay. This is a constructor, and before the constructor, I provided private access modifier. The question here is, can we specify constructors with private access modifier? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay. Before the constructor, you can mention private access modifier without any problem. Okay. There will not be any compiler error. But the only problem is, since this constructor is private, you can create. How can you call this constructor? In order to call this constructor, we have to create an object. Okay. So let's create a method here, public void sample method. Inside this CDemo class, I'm going to create a sample method. And inside this sample method, okay, I'm going to create an object for this class. How? New CDemo. The moment I do that, when I create an object for this class using new keyword, object will be created for CDemo, and this is a constructor calling statement. And since this particular method is within the class and this is private, this particular constructor is private to this particular class, so I can easily call this method. Okay, this object creation statement won't be any problem. CDemo is equal to like CDemo I can give, no problem, guys. Okay, when I create this object creation statement, this is end full object creation statement, guys. And as part of this object creation statement, there's a constructor calling statement, and this constructor calling statement is within the class. Since this constructor is private, I can call this class from within the class. I can call this constructor from within the class by creating an object like this. There won't be any problem. That's not an issue. Okay, this is not an issue, guys. I can also write this public static if I want. Okay, instead of this normal method, I can write main. Now, like this, I can write string of args. Okay, and all good. Okay, so when I run this code, the main method will run, and as part of that, object will be created, and object this constructor calling statement will be there, and this private constructor will be called, and this print statement should get printed in the output. Okay, it should work fine. You see, instead constructor got printed means the constructor has been called. But what if I'll make this again, I'll just comment this out for a while. Okay, so that this code doesn't exist now. Now I have a class and have a constructor which is specified with private access modifier. So this constructor can be called only within the class because it is specified as private. Outside the class, from outside the class, I cannot call this constructor because it is private. So I'll go outside the class. I'll just say C sample. Okay, C sample, and I'll just create a main method here. Inside this sample, I'm just going to, you see, this C sample is outside the class, right? And this constructor is within the class. Outside the class, within the main method, okay, within the main method, when I try to create an object for this class, new C demo, okay, outside the class, from outside the class, if I'm trying to create an object for this class, for the CDemo class, what is happening? Error is coming. Why? The constructor CDemo is not visible because this CDemo constructor, okay, the constructor of this particular class is specified with private access modifier. So within the class only, we can access this constructor. The constructor calling will only happen, okay, from within the class. But from outside the class, if you try to create an object for this class, it will not allow because this constructor calling statement cannot happen here because this is private type. Private cannot be accessed outside the class. Within the class only can be accessed. Hence, object creation won't be possible. Okay. Outside the class, the object creation won't be possible. The constructor is specified with private access modifier. So the question here is simple, guys. Can we specify constructors with private access modifier? The answer is yes. But the consequences are you cannot create objects for that particular class which is having the private access modifier specified. Okay. From outside the class, you cannot create an object. Within the class, you can create an object for that kind of classes having this private access modifier specified constructors. Okay. To call the constructor, we have to create an object within the class. But from outside the class, we cannot call the constructor. Hence, object creation won't be possible and we'll get the compiler error saying that that particular constructor is not visible or kind of, okay, as I have demonstrated clearly in this. Okay, from within the class, I can create an object for this class and constructor will be called. This private access modifier specified constructor can be called within the class. But from outside the class, from another class, if I try to create the object for the same class, I'll get an error because this constructor calling statement may not is not possible because this constructor is private to this class, so it cannot be called outside the class. Simple words. Okay. So hope guys you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye.